The air was thick with dust and tension as the pets darted through the forest, the glow of the Zorkar mothership casting ominous blue shadows over the trees. Behind them, faint tremors from the terraforming beam sent ripples through the earth, causing leaves to shiver on their branches. "Keep moving," Barkley barked, his voice sharp and urgent. He led the group with his tail held high, ears swiveling to catch the faint hum of approaching drones. Mittens, clutching her glowing tablet with trembling paws, tripped over a root and let out a small yelp. Whiskers, who had been trotting behind her, rolled his eyes and nudged her forward with his nose. "We don't have time to admire the scenery, Mittens." "Easy for you to say," Mittens muttered. "You're not carrying this." She waved the tablet slightly, her round eyes darting nervously. "It's heavier than it looks." Rex, the burly bulldog, brought up the rear, his scarred face set in a grim expression. "You all right, kid?" he rumbled, glancing at Mittens. "I'm fine," she squeaked, though her fur bristled with fear. Above them, Shade, the sleek black raven, glided silently through the trees. His yellow eyes gleamed in the darkness as he called down, "The drones are spreading out. They're searching for us." "Thanks, Captain Obvious," Whiskers muttered. "I don't trust him," Whiskers added in a lower tone to Barkley as they pressed on. The German shepherd didn't respond, his focus on finding shelter. The forest opened to reveal an abandoned human factory. Its towering chimneys reached into the night sky, now cracked and overrun with vines. The group hesitated before entering. Inside, the factory was dark and dusty, with shafts of moonlight cutting through shattered windows. The hum of machinery lay dormant, replaced by the occasional drip of water from rusting pipes. The pets spread out cautiously. "This will have to do," Barkley declared. He turned to the group, his sharp eyes scanning their weary faces. "We regroup here." Whiskers leapt onto a conveyor belt and curled up nonchalantly. "Well, it's not the Ritz, but I suppose it'll do." Mittens set her tablet on a flat surface and began working immediately, her paws moving nervously across the screen. Chirpy fluttered to a rusty railing above and squawked, "Home sweet home! Squawk! Watch out for the creepy crawlies!" Rex settled near the entrance, his broad shoulders slumping. "I'll keep watch," he muttered, his voice heavy with exhaustion. Barkley approached Rex, lowering his voice. "You all right?" "Just tired," Rex replied gruffly. "Feels like we're running in circles." "We're not," Barkley said firmly. "We'll figure this out." Rex nodded, but didn't look convinced. The next morning, Mitten's soft gasp drew the group's attention. They gathered around her makeshift workstation as she pointed to a holographic display on her tablet. "I found something," she said, her voice trembling. "The terraforming device relies on these energy pylons. If we take one out, it could disrupt the whole system." The pets exchanged uncertain glances. "Where's the nearest one?" Barkley asked. Mittens enlarged the map. "Here. It's in a Zorkar outpost about 5 miles away, but it's heavily guarded." "Of course it is," Whiskers muttered, flicking his tail. "Nothing's ever easy." "This could work," Barkley said, his tone resolute. "If we hit them hard and fast, we might stand a chance." "Or get turned into space dust," Whiskers quipped. "Just saying." Before they could plan further, rustling from outside set the group on edge. Barkley growled softly, and Rex shifted into a defensive stance. From the shadows emerged a group of wild animals, a lynx, a fox, and a few raccoons. Their leader, a fierce-looking lynx with tufted ears and sharp amber eyes, stepped forward. "I'm Claw," the lynx said, his deep voice reverberating through the factory. "We've been watching you." "Creepy," Whiskers muttered under his breath. "We don't want trouble," Barkley said, stepping forward. Claw's gaze swept over the group. "Neither do we, but we've seen the destruction the Zorkar are causing. We want to fight back." "Good," Barkley replied. "We could use your help." Claw smirked. "Let's see if your group is as tough as you say." The two groups began working together, though tensions flared occasionally. Whiskers and Claw clashed over tactics, while the wild animals questioned the domesticated pet's ability to lead. Mittens and Shade worked on a plan to infiltrate the outpost, though Whiskers kept a suspicious eye on the raven. Chirpy, meanwhile, lightened the mood by mimicking Claw's gruff voice, earning a chuckle from Rex. When night fell, the plan was finalized. "We go in at dawn," Barkley announced. "Everyone knows their role. Let's make this count." The next morning, the group stood at the edge of the Zorkar outpost, the massive energy pylon towering ominously in the center. The air buzzed with static, and the occasional flash of blue light illuminated the metallic compound. Barkley's voice was low and firm. "Stick to the plan. Stay together." Chirpy flapped above the group, squawking softly. "I'll distract them. Squawk. Commander Vlek reporting for duty." "Keep it down," Whiskers hissed, his green eyes narrowing. "We're trying to be stealthy, remember?" Chirpy grinned, as much as a parrot could, clearly unbothered. As they entered the compound, the team split into groups. Mittens, with her glowing tablet, worked on disabling security systems from a small alcove. Claw led a team of wild animals to create a diversion near the entrance, their sudden attack drawing the attention of Zorkar guards. "Here we go," Claw growled, his powerful form leaping into the fray. The guards turned, their glowing blue weapons raised, and Claw's team scattered, using their agility to outmaneuver them. Meanwhile, Rex and Whiskers crept closer to the pylon. "Cover me," Whiskers said, his tail flicking nervously. "Just hurry up," Rex muttered, his scarred face tense. Just as Whiskers began cutting through the pylon's wires, the ground shook, and a loud alarm blared. The team froze. From above, hunter drones descended, their metallic bodies gleaming in the harsh light. "It's a trap!" Whiskers shouted, leaping back just as a laser beam scorched the ground where he had been standing. Barkley charged forward, his powerful frame slamming into one of the drones. Sparks flew as his jaws clamped onto its rotor, tearing it apart. Nearby, Rex tackled another drone, his growls echoing through the compound. "I've got this one," he barked, his muscular frame pinning the machine. Mittens, hiding behind a console, worked frantically to disable the remaining drones. Her paws trembled, but her focus never wavered. Almost. There. Above the chaos, Shade swooped low, dodging a drone's laser as he carried an explosive device toward the pylon's base. "Someone cover me!" he called out. Whiskers, despite his suspicions, sprang into action. "On it!" He leapt onto the drone, chasing Shade, his claws swiping at its sensor. "You owe me for this, bird." As the battle raged, reinforcements arrived, overwhelming the group. Barkley growled, his fur bristling. "We're outnumbered. We need to retreat." "No," Rex said, his voice firm. "You go. I'll hold them off." "What?" Mittens gasped, her eyes wide. "You can't." "I can," Rex interrupted. "Get out of here. Finish the mission." Before anyone could stop him, Rex charged at the advancing drones, his powerful form a blur of motion. The team hesitated only briefly before Barkley barked, "Move!" Now. With heavy hearts, they fled the compound, explosions echoing behind them as the pylon collapsed in a shower of sparks and blue light. The group stumbled into the factory as dawn began to creep over the horizon. The first light illuminated their dirt-covered fur, the cuts and bruises a testament to the intensity of their battle. Inside, they collapsed into a haphazard circle, their expressions heavy with grief. Mittens sat against a rusted pillar, her tablet clutched tightly to her chest. Her whiskers trembled as she whispered, "Rex didn't have to do that. We could have found another way." Barkley's ears flicked back, his normally confident demeanor replaced by a tired slump. "He made his choice," he said softly. "Rex knew what he was doing. He gave us a chance." Whiskers, perched on a conveyor belt, let out a frustrated hiss. "It shouldn't have come to that. We keep charging into these traps. And for what? A chance to live another day." "It's not about just another day," Barkley shot back, his eyes narrowing. "It's about every day after. It's about all of us." The two locked eyes, tension crackling between them, until Mittens' small voice broke the silence. "Stop it, both of you." The group turned to see the usually timid Tabby staring at them with an uncharacteristic fire in her eyes. Rex wouldn't have wanted this. He believed in us, in what we're trying to do. If we waste time fighting each other, we're going to lose everything. Barkley let out a heavy sigh and looked away. Whiskers flicked his tail, but remained quiet. From his perch on a broken window frame, Shade observed the scene silently. "She's right," the Raven finally said, his deep voice cutting through the quiet. "You fought well tonight. You're stronger than you realize." Whiskers narrowed his eyes. "And you?" "Always swooping in at just the right time. Convenient, isn't it?" Shade didn't respond immediately. Instead, he tilted his head, his yellow eyes glinting. "I've seen enough worlds fall to know how this ends if we don't work together." Before Whiskers could respond, Mittens' tablet let out a soft chime. Her ears perked, and she quickly opened the display. Her paws moved deftly across the screen as lines of alien text scrolled past. "What is it?" Barkley asked, stepping closer. Mittens' eyes widened. "I found something else. The Zorkar. They have a backup plan. If we destroy their pylons, they'll activate a secondary device." "Secondary device?" Chirpy squawked, fluttering down to land beside her. "What's worse than planet wiping?" "It's on their mothership," Mittens continued, her voice trembling. "A fail-safe. If it activates, it won't just terraform the Earth. It'll obliterate it." As Mittens' words sank in, the factory trembled. A deep hum vibrated through the walls, shaking loose dust from the rafters. The pets rushed outside, their eyes widening in horror at the sight above. The Zorkar mothership was glowing brighter than ever. Its crescent-shaped hull pulsated with waves of blue energy that rippled across the night sky. A low, resonating hum filled the air, growing louder with each passing second. "What are they doing now?" Whiskers muttered, his voice laced with unease. The ground beneath their paws began to crack. A massive beam of light shot down from the mothership, carving a glowing fissure into the earth. Trees toppled, and the air grew heavy with heat and static. Above them, a holographic image of Commander Vlek appeared, his glowing blue eyes cold and triumphant. His voice, amplified and resonant, echoed across the landscape. "You've delayed the inevitable," Vlek declared, his tone dripping with disdain. "But this planet will be ours. Your resistance ends now." Chirpy flapped nervously, squawking, "Does he always have to monologue? Can't he just quit while he's ahead?" "This isn't funny," Mittens whispered, clutching her tablet tightly. Her round eyes glistened with fear. Shade swooped down from the treetops, landing beside Barkley. "The mothership's powering up. Whatever they're doing, we don't have much time." Barkley stepped forward, his gaze fixed on the glowing ship above. His tail stood stiff, and his voice carried a renewed determination. "We've proven we can fight. We've taken down a pylon. Now, we take the fight to them." Whiskers let out a soft snort. "Oh, great! A suicide mission to the mothership. Why not? Let's make it interesting." "It's not suicide," Barkley said firmly. "It's survival. For all of us." The camera pans outward, showing the pets silhouetted against the glowing fissure in the ground. Above them, the Zorkar mothership looms ominously, its pulsating lights casting an eerie glow over the earth. The hum grows louder, shaking the ground as the pets prepare for their greatest challenge yet. To be continued. In the next chapter, the Resistance faces its most daring mission yet, infiltrating the Zorkar mothership to stop the ultimate device. Can they overcome the odds and save Earth? Or will the Zorkar finally prevail? Stay tuned for the next thrilling installment of the Resistance of Fur and Claw.